A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant development on June 8, 2025, Iran's Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf publicly criticized the latest U.S. proposal regarding the nuclear deal, stating that it fails to mention the lifting of sanctions. This announcement comes at a time when negotiations between Iran and the U.S. have reached a critical juncture, following 5 rounds of Omani-mediated talks that began in April. These discussions aim to replace the landmark nuclear agreement that was abandoned by U.S. President Donald Trump in 2018, which had previously imposed restrictions on Iran's nuclear activities in exchange for sanctions relief. In a video broadcast on Iranian state television, Ghalibaf expressed his discontent with the U.S. approach, labeling it as a sign of dishonesty and accusing the U.S. of attempting to impose a unilateral agreement that Iran would not accept. He urged the U.S. president to reconsider his strategy if he genuinely seeks a deal, calling the current proposal delusional. The Iranian parliament speaker's remarks underscore the deep mistrust between the two nations, which have been long-standing adversaries. Following the 5th round of talks on May 31st, Iranian officials voiced concerns over ambiguities in the U.S. proposal, indicating that the discussions have not progressed as hoped. The U.S. and its allies have long accused Iran of pursuing nuclear weapons capabilities, a claim that Tehran vehemently denies, asserting that its nuclear program is intended solely for peaceful purposes. Central to the negotiations are 2 contentious issues: the removal of stringent economic sanctions imposed on Iran and the country's right to enrich uranium. Iran maintains that it has the right to enrich uranium under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, while the Trump administration has drawn a firm line against any Iranian enrichment, deeming it a red line. Since taking office in January, Trump has reinstated a campaign of maximum pressure through sanctions, further complicating the negotiation landscape. On June 3rd, Iran's chief negotiator, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, reaffirmed the country's position, stating that Iran would not seek permission to continue enriching uranium. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, has reported that Iran is the only non-nuclear weapons state enriching uranium up to 60%, although this is still below the 90% threshold required for a nuclear warhead. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, also rejected the latest U.S. proposal, asserting that uranium enrichment is a critical aspect of Iran's nuclear program. The IAEA Board of Governors is set to convene in Vienna later this month to discuss Iran's nuclear activities, which adds another layer of urgency to the ongoing negotiations. In a parliamentary session on the same day, Ghalibaf reiterated Iran's willingness to take confidence-building measures to demonstrate the peaceful nature of its nuclear activities, provided that sanctions are lifted and Iran retains its right to enrich uranium domestically. He criticized the U.S. for presenting a proposal that neglects the lifting of sanctions, calling Washington's actions contradictory and dishonest. Ghalibaf emphasized that any sustainable agreement must yield tangible economic benefits for Iran, rejecting any deal influenced by Israeli policies or Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's failed strategies. Highlighting Iran's regional role, Ghalibaf pointed out the country's contributions to defeating the Daesh terrorist group and fostering stability in the region. He also reflected on his recent diplomatic engagements in Latin America, including attendance at the BRICS Parliamentary Summit and bilateral meetings in Venezuela, Cuba, and Brazil, aimed at strengthening Iran's economic and political ties in the region. He praised BRICS as a counterbalance to unilateralism, arguing that it could play a crucial role in establishing a multipolar world order. The Iranian Foreign Ministry has condemned the latest round of U.S. sanctions against Iran, characterizing them as yet another manifestation of Washington's long-standing hostility toward the Iranian people. Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Baqiei criticized the U.S. Treasury's new sanctions against various individuals and entities, asserting that these measures are illegal and violate international norms. He emphasized that the sanctions, intended to intensify pressure on the Iranian populace and infringe on their fundamental rights, will only strengthen the resolve of the Iranian people to defend their legitimate rights against U.S. excesses. As negotiations continue, the path forward remains uncertain, with both sides entrenched in their positions. The outcome of these talks will have significant implications not only for U.S.-Iran relations, but also for regional stability and international security. The world watches closely as the two nations navigate this complex and contentious issue, hoping for a resolution that could pave the way for a more peaceful future. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, So hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.